Today's show is sponsored by our friends at distilleryproducts.com. I could talk about this forever. You already know the drill. If you need awesome laser etched glassware at wholesale prices and you are a bourbon group, you are a store, you're a distillery, you got to talk to the folks at distilleryproducts.com. Reach out to me. I would be happy to get you in touch with them. They have amazing prices and do amazing work at distilleryproducts.com. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at Orca Coolers. Make this summer the coolest summer ever with Orca. They have something for everyone, from American-made, lifetime guaranteed hardside coolers to stainless steel whiskey barrel tumblers. They're ready to have your name on it. I got a hard cooler, a soft cooler. I got a few of these whiskey barrel tumblers. I'm getting ready to make my barbecues awesome. Use code DADS20 for 20% off of your order at Orca Coolers. That is code DADS20, and you're going to get 20% off, and that actually means something pretty substantial when you go to get a new cooler. So check them out, orcacoolers.com. Use code DADS20 for 20% off. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at Action 24/7. You want action? Get in on the action with Action 24/7, Tennessee's only sports book by Tennesseans for Tennesseans. And y'all have no idea right now how pumped I am. I know I had big news. I wanted to get it out to you last week, but now this week it's good to go. Use code DADS100 and they will match up to $400 of your first deposit. Same code, more money. Use code DADS100. They will match up to $400 of your deposit. Check it out. There's MLB stuff going on. There is soccer stuff going on. Insurance on all of them. Preds home games. Check out all the specials when you go into the app at action247.com or get the app on your phone. Use code DADS100 and get in on the action. Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards, and with me, as always, is Zeke Baker, and together we make the Dad's Drink of Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us part of your day. Hello, Zeke.
Well, you cut me off before I ever got going.
Did you have an open?
Did you ask?
I assumed you didn't.
Did they ever teach you in school what happens when you assume?
You make an ass out of you and me, but at the same time, you also said, hey, we're probably a month away from you doing some legendary cold opens.
I didn't say legendary. Whoa. Don't be trying to build this up for anything more than it is now. I mean,
Legend, wait for it, dairy.
Dairy? What the hell's dairy?
Legendary.
Oh, you broke that up way too much. Jesus.
It's from a show. It's a quote. It's okay. I actually had one for you today.
So you had one and I had one, and you cut both of us off. So you didn't make an ass out of you and me. You made an ass out of you.
I buried it a little bit strategically. I didn't want it to be the open. Do you want to know why?
Is this like a knock-knock joke?
No. I mean, I'll tell you why.
I feel like it kind of is.
I'll tell you why.
Have I got to pay 50 cents more first to hear?
Yes. Please insert 50 cents to continue your story.
Tell me more.
So my wife is blind as a bat. What? Did I sound like Borat to you or something?
It was just the segue of tell me more. My wife.
So my wife cannot see when she's not wearing glasses or contacts. So that is very important to this story. Tonight, she decided for dinner, so we switch off making dinner. And tonight she wanted to try making something new. And it was this spaghetti squash with beans and tomato sauce and mozzarella. And anyways, then like you put it as half of the squash as your bowl. It was some vegetarian dish she really wanted to try. Well, I had no idea this was what she wanted to try. So at this point, the only thing I've eaten today was a protein shake in the morning because I took Sophia to a doctor's appointment this afternoon. So when she said she wants to do this vegetarian thing for dinner, I was like, what the hell? There's no protein in, like, yeah, there's protein in the beans, but there's not like a lot of protein. So anyways, I ordered Uber Eats. She's doing the whole thing with Sophia, like waiting for Sophia to fall asleep. And she comes downstairs and I'm sitting at the kitchen table eating a burger, but thankfully it was so far away from her she couldn't see me. So I was just like, hey, good night. She would have been so upset with me if she knew I was eating a burger after she cooked.
Should have gone with the pinto beans. They got more protein.
The side note is, though, she's never once listened to a Dad's Drinking Bourbon episode, so I am not worried about her hearing this at any point.
You do got to watch out for the ones that listen to the podcast.
You do have to watch out for the ones that listen to the podcast. You never know.
I'm just surprised, though, you didn't have like some kind of random protein at the house you could have just thrown in there, like thrown something in the skillet or even just like some deli meat or something. Just toss it in.
We're pretty good about like taking out meat the day, but so if meat's fresh or if it's frozen, right? Either way, we have enough just to get through the week. If there's frozen meat, we're taking it out 2 days before so it could thaw and be ready. If it's fresh meat that week, we only have enough meat in the fridge that is going to last that week with what we have planned out for meals.
You don't just keep like cold cuts in the Frigidaire?
I'd be the only one who eats them. Therefore, nobody orders them for me. I'd have to order them for myself.
Order? You pick them up at the grocery, like a tray of like sliced deli meat.
I
always
man.
have it in my fridge.
In this day and age, you just go on Amazon. It gets delivered to your house.
I mean, either way, like you can buy like a 16-ounce tray at a time. It stays good for 2 months probably because of the sodium, and it's a pretty lean snack. So it's healthy-ish. Like late night, if I'm hungry, I'll go eat a few pieces of deli meat.
I used to ask for just a half pound of turkey every week.
Yeah, like boar's head or whatever. You can cut at the counter. Yeah.
And a couple weeks, it just stopped happening. And then it just stopped happening altogether. So I was like, I guess I don't get my turkey anymore unless I go buy it.
I mean, that's literally like one of the easiest and best like snacks for a dude.
I know. Maybe I'm just going to have to start going to my own separate supermarket run every week.
I mean, now I know why your figure's been lacking lately. If you'd have had a little deli meat before you did that photo shoot for the Jack sticker, then things might have looked a little better.
You think I would have been more trim if I had some deli meat before that Jack sticker?
If you'd had that for a week or two, it could have helped a little bit.
I mean, I don't eat. So rather than eating the deli meat, I'm just foregoing food. So I'll have protein shake in the morning, dinner, and then a protein shake at night.
No gym smoothie?
The protein shake I make at home. I don't need a smoothie at the gym.
What about Starbucks? You haven't mentioned Starbucks lately either.
Haven't really been going to Starbucks.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I still got my Lululemon shorts on, though, if that makes you feel good.
You also still use, what the hell were those letters today? RBF in a group chat, and no one knew what it meant.
Tom knew exactly what it meant.
He said he Googled it.
Oh, really?
You don't read the damn chats.
I don't.
Because I was like, what the hell does this mean? He's like, yeah, bro, I had to Google it.
I have RBF like crazy. It annoys the hell out of me.
Might be a reason that the wife tries to go without the glasses or contacts late at night. So when she asks you a question, you give her that look back. She doesn't realize how much of an asshole you're looking like. Like, is this bitch giving me bitch face right now?
It really makes me consider everything I've done in my life over. I'm like, I thought I looked like a happy, cheery person. And then, it's like you're bald and have a beard. And then you have RBF and you're like, oh, man, people must hate me.
Yeah, I feel like it's either the expression that gives somebody away or like eyes. Like somebody asked me once, they're like, are you kidding right now? Or like face, man, I give it away. But eyes, like, 100% whether or not I'm serious or just like bullshitting. Like that's the dead giveaway for me every time.
All right, well, what's your story? Because obviously I screwed up my story and didn't tell it as good as I could have. But you go ahead and tell me your story.
I'll keep this short then so we don't get yelled at too much. But now I don't want you to think I'm picking on the shifty one. But this did dawn on me the other day when you were talking about the dogs.
Wait. Your story is about my dogs.
No. It's not. It's not. But they are what brought this to my attention that I take exception with. Again, I'm not picking on the shifty one here. I do that enough. This is not directed at him because this is not his fault, although he falls under it. So I understand why they are named what they are. Or actually, hold on. This isn't shifty. This is the other one, whatever his name is.
Rye.
But it seems to me a very bad misnomer to call a dog a golden doodle when its fur ain't golden looking. It's black. It seems like an oxymoron or some stupid shit.
Well, golden doodle is a mixture of a golden retriever.
I get that. But in your mind, when you look at something and you say, oh, yeah, it's a golden doodle. No, it ain't. It's black. Ain't nothing gold about that dog.
I don't know what to tell you, Zeke, because his mom was a golden retriever and his dad was a golden doodle.
Again, I understand where it comes from, but is it not like kind of mentally like throw you off when you really think about the like the fundamentals behind it? Like you say a color and you look. It's like this time I told you, some guy called the pharmacy one time. And I was asking him how to spell something, and he's rattling off. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. He's like, yeah. And then S is in C.
What?
Think about it. Ocean, water, sea. Oh, dude, I was wrecked the whole rest of the day. I was like, I wonder if that kid does that all the time. Because like, I didn't think about it at first, but man, like the most subtle curveball ever. And I was just I kept thinking about it the whole day. Like, what the, like that guy, he's right, but he's wrong, damn it.
You're like, are you messing with me right now? Like,
yeah,
are you just...
I had to like put the phone down and walk away. I was so fired up. Like, listen what this just said to me. He's like, S is in C. And they were like, huh? I'm like, think about it. Like, he's right, but he's not.
You're like, is this a prank call? Are you recording this?
Especially like the setting of like, how do you spell your name? Where you're like, A is in apple, B is in boy, S is in C. What?
I'm sure there is a whole lot of stuff you could do with that. Like if you said like E as in I.
There you go. I mean, I feel like this would be a great way just to like very like subtly like torture people kind of thing. Well, not torture, but it's just like, goddamn, they're right, but they're wrong.
I don't know why you hate my dog. Both of them. You pick on my dogs.
I don't. I'm telling you, one day we're on the phone and I hung up the phone. I was like, hold on, this bothers me.
Ladies, if you are out there listening, Zeke Baker hates dogs. He is a terrible human being.
Oh, shit. Remember the samples we had a few episodes back where like the random dog ate the lids off? I didn't even get mad that morning.
Just say it. Zeke Baker hates dogs. He's a bad human being.
It wasn't my dog. I didn't even yell.
You just yell at me. You save it for me. So like something else could happen to you. A dog would eat these samples and you're like, you know how I'm going to feel good about myself? I'm a shit on Edwards. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find a way to troll him.
That's my every Tuesday.
Every day that ends in Y.
Thursday or
All right. Well, we have gone through long enough. Let's talk about 4-Gate Ruby Rye Springs. Now, this was MGP juice aged for 7 years in American oak. And then when it was done, it was aged 45 days in Ruby Port rum casks. It's 113.4 proof. Comes from 4-Gate Whiskey Company. Other fun things that I could tell you is the rye they start with is the 7-year-old MGP rye. And then they finish it in different barrels. I could tell you that the Ruby Port casks were from Portugal, 56.7 ABV. It's 95 rye, 5% malted barley. It's non-chill filtered, cask strength. This is batch 11 for 4-Gate, and this comes in at $185. Zeke Baker, what did you think about this whiskey?
Don't think you mentioned, maybe you didn't, I zoned out, but part of this series is we reviewed it not long ago. The first release was the rye without a finish. Now I think they're going to progressively showcase this product in various finishes over time. You did say this was the first one, just throwing that out there for anybody that remembers that show or is keeping up with what at least one of the things 4-Gate's doing as an ongoing project right now. Nose on this one. From a distance, I initially pick up a nice little floral with a blend of honeysuckle, especially this time of year where everything's blooming. I think it's kind of like being distantly downwind, from some type of, garden or outdoor stuff growing like that. If you dive in a little further or have a nose like mine, it definitely, as you get down in there, it gets a little bit to a whole lot piney at times. Backing back off from that as it was a little bit too much for me, especially with the proof and being a little pungent. It reminded me of, rye bread coming fresh out of the oven or just breads in general. Just kind of had that, nice, warm little odor to it. Moving on to the palate. Initially, there's definitely a softness to this before the rye hits on the tongue. I definitely attributed that to the barrel finishing that went on here. It really reminded me, John, remember what this product is? I can't remember. It's a rye and it's also finished. It's made by the Yellowstone people. It's like MC something.
Minor Case?
Yeah. It reminded me of that a lot of what I remember. I mean, it's been forever and a day since I've had that. I liked it. I just haven't ever gone back to it for whatever reason. But it really kind of reminded me of that from what I could remember. Once it kind of sits on the palate for a little bit, I felt like the tongue became used to the ruby finish aspect of that, and it diminished off pretty fast. Once that goes away, you really are left with a fairly piney rye profile, I felt like, and kind of tasting this a time or two and, trying to figure out, analyze what may or may not be going on. I felt like the ruby finish almost kind of negated the complexity or the component that the barley would add to this, as far as, diversity or balancing things out to a degree. And once that initial kind of like coating of the ruby finish went away, it definitely just kind of left with a solid piney feeling or grassy type rye. Normally I feel like you and I both will maybe not bitch or at least complain or suggest to a degree something was probably finished too long, but I felt like this could have gone a little bit longer. It just wasn't as incorporated in there as I thought it could be to give a balanced profile.
This is like some freak of nature show. When we see 100% eye to eye on everything. So I had 2 notes. I literally just wrote down 2 things. I said overwhelmingly piney. I'm not getting enough of the ruby port rum casks. I don't feel like it's imparting enough of that sweetness to balance out the spiciness and the pininess of the rye. So the second note I wrote down was, does this need to be finished longer? ? Literally the 2 things I wrote down. I agree with everything else you said, though. The longer crap you had, agree with it.
Sorry, I've been on a writing tangent lately.
No, and I think I've been trying to be more succinct, which is a good thing for me. To less is more for me. So I've been trying to kind of cut it down to what is essentially what I get from that pour. And for this one, it's pine and doesn't need to be finished longer.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yes, it is 95.5. Pigeonholing that into a certain profile by now, I think most of us will agree that that's a bit of a bad angle to approach at it. Is there's been a lot of 7 and 8 year 95.5 that's been on the market lately, and a very plethora of flavors inside of those different sets of barrels. This just happened to be a bit of the piney and grassy variety. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised it got pulled and bottled when it did. I mean, I assume those barrels they probably finish in, those are big, right? It's not like a 53 gallon for bourbon, is it? I don't know. I just always assume anything that comes from overseas that's used for finishing, even if it's not like, scotch or whatever, they just always seem to use those big ass barrels for everything.
225 liters. Ruby port is aged in oak barrels. Feeders are tanked.
I mean, that's probably regular then, because 4 liters is a gallon, basically.
Yeah.
50 times 4 is going to be, obviously 200, add the extra 3. So that's going to be roughly equivalent, I'm thinking.
59 gallon. 225 liters is 59 gallons.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 53 versus 59. I mean, that's not enough to worry about, I think, end of the day. But yeah, I mean, either 2 things happened, I would guess, is, it wasn't in there quite long enough, or possibly from the time it was taken from the barrel to being bottled, maybe the oxidation just happened that fast and it already just kind of came back off the juice or something,
I could agree with that, but I really just think it's not giving enough of that flavor. Like, it hasn't had enough time in that ruby port barrel to really put a whole lot of flavor in there.
No, because like I said, you get it at first, and I think if it was, 15% more, 20% more incorporated in there, it would really carry that profile through at least the mid palate towards the back. Another thing I don't know if you caught this or felt the same way, but that whole barley aspect that normally gives it, at least a second dimension and some complexity, I couldn't pick it up at all throughout the pour. And that's why I almost felt like the finish almost kind of negated it or, wiped it off the books, basically.
I get that. I mean, it's just so much pine on this. We haven't even got into the fact that this is $185. I don't know. Let's just jump right to that too. I mean, people are going to get mad at us for the price and talking about the price. And I love what Fourgate's doing. They were somebody kind of like us that went and did their own brand, but you can't tell me, knowing what we know about MGP, is Ruby Port rum casks, are they that much more money that aging them for 45 days and those barrels cost the difference that it would be for a 7-year rye to make it jump up that much?
Inquiring minds want to know. Regardless, I'd say even outside of knowing what was or wasn't done or where the juice came from and roughly probably what it cost. I mean, when something's worth the money, we don't have a problem saying it. I'm just going to throw that out there. If this was amazing, I don't think we would quite analyze it that way. But either way, 185 for something that we just don't find overly impressive is still just 185. Like, why? But I see your point as well, like putting the science and the dollars behind it. Like, how exactly did you arrive at this number?
You know me. I mean, my mind goes business and very technical with numbers first. That's where I always go. I'm thinking of it like, what is the overall value of this? But value, let's be honest, for all the people that shit on us for talking about price, I will also say price is determined by value to consumers. So if consumers really want something, guess what? The value has gone up. This one, I just feel like for everything it's touting about being finished in another barrel, I'm not getting enough flavor from that barrel that it's finished in to justify spending more than I would for regular 7-year rye.
Yeah, I mean, I would think you could almost take a pull of whatever came out of this finished barrel originally, like even a red wine or something, and just don't quite wash it all the way down or rinse your palate afterwards and then take a drink of that. You're going to get about as much of a 2-layered coating system, I think.
I think that's where my brain then goes to like, well, how much do you think it costs for the rye versus how much do you think it costs for the finishing barrel? Because, all right, well, I'd pay how much it costs for the rye. If it was priced there, then I'd kind of be like, yeah, we're not getting a lot from the rum cask. I thought we would, but I mean, it's priced right. That's the problem with all of this is you could have the taste just dialed in, but the price is wrong. And you need to make sure they both match up. At the same time, you could have the taste kind of not dialed in and then the price is wrong or the price is right, but nobody's going to pay for it either way.
I mean, I didn't even realize this was a rum. As soon as I heard Ruby, I was thinking some kind of, red wine type product or brandy.
What do you think it was? Aged in ocean spray? Ruby red grapefruit cranberry juice?
Nah, I stay away from anything grapefruit, dude. That's for old people. No, I hear Ruby though, and I just think red products. Well, people finish. What do they finish in? Generally, a port or a brandy or some kind of red wine. Like, again, you hear a color you associate with things. Back to the damn golden doodle that doesn't have golden hair. It throws you off. I did not plan this either. This is funny how it all came full circle on us.
I'm really, really impressed with you for bringing this full circle. I didn't know you had it in you. Maybe I've rubbed off on you a little bit that you've realized how to bring it all back together.
No, man, I told you that it's cosmic. Some weird shit been going on the past 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know.
Zeke has had things happen to him in threes these past few weeks. I'll get a text from him. He'll be like, this happened, this happened, this happened. I think you saw a ghost was one of the things you did. Somebody said something to you that was, and there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in here.
It's more than we got time for in like 2 shows, much less this one.
When you tell other people about it besides me, I hope you are sitting down or lying down on a couch. I hope there is a timer and a notebook.
Think about that.
I'm going to leave that pause in too, because that pause was great. All of a sudden, when you did get the joke, you were kind of like, oh.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something stupid. I was like, what's he even talking about? Oh, asshole.
You're like, he went really dry with that. Somebody, in our Facebook group, we have the 3 questions that somebody needs to answer in order to join. And one person was like, the first question is, have you ever heard of the Dad's Drinking Bourbon podcast? And this guy wrote, yes, I really enjoy the dry humor. I was like, Zeke always thought he was a little wet. But
definitely was.
You have no hope tonight. You are not catching anything until after the fact. So what would you do? Would you buy bar or pass this 4-gate Ruby Rye Springs?
I'm a pass on this. I mean, there's just a lot of 6, 7, 8 year 95.5 out there coming into it. If you had told me what I was not, or if I had to guess what I was not going to like about this, I think I would have been on the completely opposite side of the narrative here. As far as the 95.5 itself, just didn't come across that great, and the finish actually, I thought it could have sat in there longer. I mean, it just didn't impart a ton of flavor and give it that kind of nice, mild, like smoothing out the rough edges coating feel that I would have expected out of it.
I'll take this one step further, and I will give Foregate credit where credit is due. You know, they came back to us all the way in 2019. They were starting to release this stuff, but they were also doing finishing, and Bill sat down with us, told us Foregate's story. We tried some of their stuff. I think Foregate did a good job being ahead of the curve. I think the rye market is so saturated right now because people realized they couldn't go get 8 to 11 year MGP bourbon. There's so much rye that's coming out. It's either going to be young bourbon or older 7, 8-year-old rye. And I just think the market on rye is starting to get a little bit saturated, and it's all coming from the same place.
Well, possibly that, or the fact of maybe just the bar set a little bit higher now on standing out as a rye product as well.
I'm a pass on this as well. I just think for the price, I could go get similar things and have 2 or 3 of those similar things for the same price.
Yeah, and honestly, I think back to was it like release 2 or 3, the space loop outer orbit thing that had the curacao with it, and I mean that was definitely pushing the envelope, and by no means was that going to be, I would say, even half the whiskey market's cup of tea, so to speak. But I liked the way they pushed the envelope. I thought it was a really neat pour, and there was lots of aspects to it I actually liked. I don't know. I feel like this may have been rushed or whatever happened, but it doesn't follow that MO that I think of with them as pushing to areas people haven't gone quite yet, and looking for more diverse flavors and profiles that resemble the norm, but at the same time, they're not replicating or similar to anything else that's on the shelf.
Yeah, and this one I think is just missing the balance for me. It's all spice, and there's not enough sweet to balance out the spice. But we thank Foregate for sending us this whiskey. We will continue to drink all of the various releases that Foregate has, and we will give you our honest opinion about them. I still think that a lot of aspects of it are good. If you see it at a bar, maybe go ahead and try it. It's just not my I need to recuse myself from all MGP rye discussions. I think I need to recuse myself, so the next time it's just going to be Zeke talking by himself, and I'm recording.
Best episode ever.
Well, you won't ever find that one, but you can find Zeke and I together on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Find the lost tapes of Zeke Baker by giving him a DM. That's EZE Baker on Instagram. Go ahead and send him a DM. Tell him, A, you want an Old Forester pick, you want a Jack Daniel's barrel proof pick, and you want whatever else is coming down the line of Dad's Drinking Bourbon. You send him as many DMs as you can and tell him how bad you want to be on that list. Zeke, where else can the folks find us?
Just don't send them on Sunday. I'll be spending it with my mama.
Cheers.
Ciao.